Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week, and everything in between. But before we get started, I do talk about the viewer's pick of the week at the end of the video, so in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured. But let's get started. This week was kind of a smaller haul, but there is a big book that came out this week that is the major topic of the video. But let's start with number 9. Number 9 for me is Batman issue 150. This is a weird issue. It's kind of connected to Absolute Power, or at least the ending is. The rest feels very fillerish. I was not really a big fan of the artwork. I felt like it was very sketchy. It was not my style at all. It was very gritty. And Batman's not really in it. It's not really about him. It feels very fillerish, this story. It just really was not for me. Especially after issue 49 ended in such a place where you're like, wow, I want to see where the Bat family's going. I want to see where Batman is going after this. And this just felt so fillerish for the sake of it being a legacy issue and also being a tie-in to Absolute Power, kinda. So overall, giving that one 1.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is Justice Society of America, issue 10. This is now a maxi series. It has taken so long for this issue to come out. I believe there's also multiple artists on this one, even though I particularly wanted to see Janin on the whole thing, but understand with delays. And depending on what delays were there, I'm not sure if it was on the writing or art side of things, but you know, this has definitely lost steam because of how long we've had to wait between issues, and it really depends how much you love this team as a core. If you love the Legion of Superheroes and JSA, you might have a good time with this one, but I like this series because I liked Helena, I like the characters, and I feel like this really is about the groups of people now, and not really getting that character-driven storytelling that was promised in those first couple of issues. So overall, giving that one 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Birds of Prey, issue 11. This continues the Barbara Gordon story, which I love seeing Barbara involved, but them not interacting with each other is not as fun. And that's something I've had an issue with Birds of Prey, is I feel like the chemistry of the team's not really there. I want to see more of those character moments. I feel like they are flung into all these action moments that it needs to slow down so we could get to see the chemistry of the team a bit more. And I think that's also something that falters with this issue as well. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6. This was the only Marvel book I got this week, which was kind of crazy, and that's the Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 annual. Maybe because I'm not picking up Blood Hunt, maybe there's a lot of Blood Hunt tie-ins. Yeah, this was the only one, and honestly, in another week, I probably wouldn't have gotten this because this is connected to the Infinity Watch, which I had no plans to continue. I don't love the fact that Marvel has been using annuals not to continue its own series, but to tell these weird one-off stories. They've been doing this for a year or two now, and usually the stories doesn't really progress any other plot line. At least this, you have a character like Star in here, so if you're a fan favorite of Star, maybe you'll like this issue, but I've never been a huge fan of the character. It felt very fillerish, especially in a week where there just wasn't a lot of Marvel books that came out. So giving that one 2.5 stars, not bad, but also just nothing to write home about either. Moving on to number 5, which is Rogue Sun, issue 20. This one I feel like is going more back to basics, as the big story with the mythos of Rogue Sun did come to an head, and now we're kind of slowing down and seeing our main character's life in high school and how everybody around him in the superhero community or his family is dealing with the aftermath of what happened in the last arc, which I liked. I like going back to basics. I want to be sucked into the story even more, and when it gets bogged down with mythos, that's where I feel a little bit more disconnected, and when it really is just about the characters and getting to see these characters interact with each other about their day-to-day life, that's where it's more interesting to me, and really focusing on the day-to-day superhero aspect. So overall, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, the topic of the video, which is Absolute Power issue 1. This is a weird one because there's nothing here, unlike Beast World, where I feel like Beast World is like, oh, I felt globbed onto this because I've been reading Titans. This, I will say, has a lot of build up. You know, there's a lot of series that have been building up to this moment. Amanda Waller, where we get to see Green Arrow teaming up with Amanda Waller. We get to see that Suicide Squad story. But all in all, I also don't really feel too invested in the story. The other aspect is seemed more connected to the Amazo robot situation with Batman, which I didn't really quite love, and I don't know where that's taking us for the full scope of the DC universe. Obviously the topic of the video being, does this mean we're gonna get an Ultimate Universe of DC? That's been the big rumor, and I don't know if this issue really proves that. I don't really know what ground that rumor is really having at this point, because everything leading up to this doesn't really feel like any alternate universes are happening. It just kind of feels like your run-of-the-mill event book, and that's kind of what this issue felt like. There's nothing that was huge in this. I think there's some good character beats. I especially like the Daily Planet aspect of them having to tell this story of, Superman losing his powers and what's going on with that, and the news maybe not being told correctly because of that. I thought that was probably the most interesting aspect. And also I like the vibe of the book because of the art. I think Dan Mora does just a beautiful job at having that tone. But we'll see where the rest of the series goes on. But I will say with this issue, I don't know if there's really going to be an Ultimate Universe spinning out of this with Scott Snyder running, a universe. It just doesn't seem like that. It seems like more like a rumor, but I guess we'll have to find out with issue 4. So that is number 4 for me. Moving on to number 3, we got 2 books, and that is Radiant Black issue 20. So you get the point A to point B thing here. 29 actually. I like this, felt like the most different out of all of them. Some of them you have issues where like maybe action scenes change, but now as we get more into the story, really the 2 issues are very different. But that also is kind of what takes me out of the story a little bit, is like, someone dies or someone gets punctured and you're like, okay, so what's real and what's not? And that's the thing that lures me, but also the thing that gets a little convoluted. Honestly, I think for people who are kind of on the fence for this book, it's a little hard to follow too, because you have to get point A and point B, gotta read 2 issues, gotta spend that money as well. It's like, gonna be like $8. I think they're $3.99 each. Yeah, it's $8. So, it's a big investment, and it's been going on for a long time. So that's why I'm a little torn. Like, I like the story. I enjoyed the moments that happen here. I love the art, but it also does feel a bit convoluted. And by the end, you're like, well, did that really happen? What is happening? And get a little confused. So, again, kind of on the fence, but I think it's an interesting ride, and I like the innovation, and I like that the book is doing something different, which is why it's a bit higher. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to Taxic Summer, issue 2. This is my number 2 pick. I love this book. It's only 3 issues, but it's kind of a reminder of what books I want to see more in the direct market. Style of books usually tend to be direct to graphic novel or webtoons, and I just love just seeing these characters hanging out with the backdrop of this toxic monster in this weird town. It's very slice of life, but the pacing is really well done. The character work is really well done. This world feels really lived in, even though it's only a 3-issue mini, and the artwork is just very Archie, which makes sense because Derek Charm has worked for Archie, and I just like the vibe of it. And again, I want to see more fun comics like this in the direct market. I think the direct market needs more comics like this. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1. I have to say, one of my favorite superhero books on stands right now, and that is Shazam issue 13. If you're looking for pure superhero fun, that's exactly what it is here. This is coming from the point of view of Freddy, who does not have powers anymore, and is kind of, I won't call it jealous, but upset that Mary and Billy does, and having to deal with this superhero scenario without having powers. And I think the narration is really great, and the focus is really great for this issue. Every issue feels like you're getting something new, and again, feels very old school, which fits for a Shazam book, which is a little bit more of a golden age superhero. So I like this vibe of this book. The artwork is always really consistent, the character work is consistent, and it just pulls you for the ride. It's great action and just a really great superhero story, and I feel like issue 13 delivers on that as well. So giving that 4 stars, and that is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was, and here are some comments about last week's viewer pick of the week, which was Gotcha Man. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one.